We'll now read Rohinton Mistry's The Ghost of Firozsha Baag. Rohinton Mistry is an Indian born Canadian writer. Again, you can see the hyphenation that comes in. An Indian born Canadian writer. He was born in Bombay. He's the brother of known playwright Cyrus Mistry. He moved to Canada in 1975. He's born in 1952. So he moves to Canada in 75. He, after pursuing his BA in mathematics and economics from Xavier's College in Bombay. In 1988, Penguin Books in Canada publishes his 11 short stories called Tales from Firozsha Baag, one of which we will read now, The Ghost of Firozsha Baag. The book consists of 11 short stories set in an apartment complex in modern day Bombay. The volume also contains one of the stories that is well known called Swimming Lessons. It was actually published in United States as Swimming Lessons and Other Stories from Firozsha Baag. So, we will look at that story. We'll look at one story from here called The Ghost of Firozsha Baag. If Lahiri's story was talking about the grand narratives, history, nation, imagined communities, Rohinton Mistry is set in India itself. It's set in Bombay. So, but then he's writing when he's based in Canada. So, one can see a bit of nostalgia that is working. So, again working from the past, from memory, what Lahiri would have also done. So, one can see many of the similarities there, but then also the dissimilarities that are there. The story is actually not about any grand narratives like Nation and others. Mistry's other books do have them, such a long journey, a fine balance. All of them have a lot of stake in the grand narrative of nation and history and imagined communities, all those ideas of what constitutes a nation, what do we think, how does the nation come to be. But this story is not about them. And then I've chosen this so that we actually can also see the spectrum of Indian English writing as well as the diasporic writing itself. So, if you look at the stories, the story is about Jacqueline, who is an ayah in a Parsi household. Jacqueline is from Goa. She lives in Bombay now at the house of Parsi, well-to-do Parsi family. Jacqueline has been serving at this house for a quite long period of time. During the Christmas nights, the midnight sermons, when she comes back, she experiences ghosts and she tells it to her employers and they rebuff it. They try to make fun of her. They tell her that like she's probably imagined it, there's no such thing as ghosts or anything. But Jacqueline is quite sure that the ghost is there, and she thinks that the ghost stays with her for quite a significant amount of time till she confesses to the father at the church, and after that somehow the ghost actually does not bother her. On a New Year night next year, when the employers are outside and Jacqueline is alone at home with the kid, she makes all arrangements and she's sleeping in the house. The owners are outside, the employers have gone out, the husband and wife have gone out to a New Year party, and when they and Jacqueline is wakes up in the at night to discover that they have not come back yet, and does not get sleep. So she is in the balcony and she's surprisingly she's somehow has a white sheet on her. At that time, the owners come back, and the lady of the house, Bai as she is referred to, she sees Jacqueline on the balcony, mistakes her to be a ghost, and now starts telling everyone that there are ghosts here and that Jacqueline was correct. The same people who did not believe Jacqueline earlier when she had experienced ghosts now believe that there are ghosts here. In a way, very peculiarly, the ghost brings in a certain kind of change in the hierarchy of the household. The Bai becomes actually better towards Jacqueline, discussing what the ghosts do, what the ghosts do not do, how she thought about it, what was her experience. So the story ends with there are many rituals being performed to get rid of the so-called ghost, and then Jacqueline can only chuckle about it. The story brings out many different kind of themes, and some of those themes we will look at. The theme of country and city. So you have the rural Goa, which at this point is not exactly the place that now it is, contrasted with Bombay. We also have the class angle, where we keep seeing it intersecting with gender, where the Aya, Jacqueline, has to undergo many of the humiliations and everything because she comes from a poor family, and that is contrasted to the rich employer who are exploitative also. We are also told that like how she gets also exploited, and kind of there is a certain hint of gender equations also, gender inequalities also being talked about. And then we are also hinted at the idea of nation, though it's not a very predominant theme. The nation, what constitutes it, and the position of the Parsis within that nation, the recently emergent nation and the Parsis, and we are given access to glimpse to their rituals, their lives, all of that. One significant amount of investment that is there is to look at the language itself. We are told that Jacqueline is from Goa, so she's well versed in Konkani. She knows Marathi, Hindi, and also English. So she knows all of these languages also, and then she knows also Parsi, Gujarati. The story also is told from her angle, so therefore you will also see a lot of syntax that can be called Indian, the way that the conversation goes. This is not in standard English, very different from the way Lahiri's story was. You can see examples of what Rushdie called as chutneyfication in the story itself. So let's track some of these themes in the story itself. So she says, I always believed in ghosts. When I was little, I saw them in my father's small field in Goa. That was long ago, very, very long ago, before I came to Bombay to work as Aya. So we are given an introduction that what is happening, and we are already told that there are ghosts in Goa. So father also saw them mostly by the well drawing water. He would come and tell us that the bhoot is thirsty again. It is never scared us, but it never scared us. Most people in our village had seen ghosts. Everyone believed in them. So we are told immediately about a rural conceptualization of the ghost, which does not think of it as unnatural or something that is not part of their daily lives or everyday lives. That the bhoot is actually part of everyday lives. Everyone knows that bhoot is there. Father told us that like that it's there in the by the well itself, and the ghost is a well-meaning ghost itself. How do we know that it's a well-meaning ghost? Because this ghost, as we are told later in the story, save her from harassment. There was a boy, Kajetan, who tried to take advantage of her. Us two were only there, fishermen still out in the boat, sitting on the sand. He made all funny eyes at me, like Hindi film heroes, and put his hand on my thigh. I told him to stop, or I would tell my father, who would give him solid pasting and throw him in the well where the bhoot would take care of him. But he didn't stop, not till the fisherman came. Sheesh, what a boy that was. So you can see that the bhoot is already always a kind of a well-wisher, bhoot that will take care of you. The idea is that the bhoot will always take care of you. Unlike, as she says, not like Firozsha Baag, which is in Bombay. The first time I saw a ghost here, people found out how much fun they made of me, calling me crazy that the Aya has to go back to Goa, go back to her mulk, see, she's seeing things. So you can see the distinction that is there between the country and the city. We are reminded of this again and again in different ways, that she remembers her home, within India itself. And we are not talking about a home like the family of Lilia was thinking about, a far away land which they cannot go to. Here she thinks back of her rural Goa space, and then we are given access again and again to those days. Whenever she has time, she ruminates and thinks about her days in Goa. So if let's look at some of those instances. Kalangute and Anjuna beaches in those days were very quiet and beautiful. It was before the foreigners all started coming in. No hippie-wippie business and charas and ganja, and no big hotels, nothing. Kajetan once came to me and told me, let's go to the Sea of the Fishermen. You will see that again and again references to Goa are there, reminding her of her own town. There are again references here. When I was little in Panjim, my father, before all money went, always gave party on New Year's Eve. I lay on my bedding thinking of those days. It's so strange that so much of your life you can remember if you think quietly in darkness. So there I was in the darkness, remembering my father, mother, Panjim, Kajetan, nice beaches, boats. So you were constantly, there's a distinction that is made between this kind of a reminiscence of the memories of Goa, and then between Bombay. And you can see that again happening here, that like the moment the memories were going on, then suddenly it was very sad. I got up, put on a light in Biset's room. The clock said 2. I wished they had come home soon. I checked the children's room. They were all sleeping. So you can see that constantly there's a influx of the present, which reminds her that she's not at home, she's not in Goa, she's in Bombay. And that's why these lines keep coming again and again. Her childhood memories contrasted with her life as an ayah, where she's constantly told things, where people find flaws with her, that must not forget rice on the stove when she's thinking of Panjim, her own childhood and everything. With rice, especially basmati, 1 minute more, 1 minute less, 1 spoon extra water, 1 less water, it will spoil, it will not be light, and every grain will not be separate. So one can see that this kind of space is made, and that space also is overlaid on the idea of the ghost itself. The bat keeps hoping that ghost will come again. She keeps asking me, and this is about the lady of the house. She keeps asking me about the ghosts. What do they do? Why they come? She thinks that because I saw ghosts first in Firozsha Baag, it must be my speciality or something. Especially since I am from village, she says village people know more about such things than city people. So I tell her about bhoot we used to see in the small field, what my father said when we saw bhoot near the well. Bai enjoys it, even asks me to sit with her at table, bring my separate mug and pours a cup for me, listening to my ghost talk. She does not treat me like servant all the time. So you can see a certain kind of distinction, as we are talking about, between the village and the city is made. The village is more in sync with, let's say, the supernatural, the unnatural, more in sync with the natural, than the city, which has created such an artificial barrier between the supernatural and the human in that sense. So the human and non-human do not seem to interact, and if the presence of non-human is there, it makes it rather a very discomforting reality itself. And one can see that human notion is very elitist here from the Bhat and the Seth, that the Bai and the Seth seem to only consider themselves as human beings, and they do not treat Jacqueline as the same as a same human being, because she is from the village, she is poor, so the class angle is there. But also, if you look at it from this human non-human angle also, the city treats people very differently than the village. City treats what they consider as human only the people who are rich and can afford the city itself. The people, working class people like Jacqueline, are treated badly, and we are told about this from the beginning itself. Jacqueline informs us that she wants to check curry masala too thick. She always says, grind it again, make it smoother. She is right. I leave it thick purposely. Before, when I did it fine, she used to send me back anyways. Oh, it pains my shoulder grinding this masala, but they will never buy an automatic machine. Very rich people, my Baiyan said. He's a chartered accountant. He has a nice motor car, just like a block priest and that one Dr. Modi used to drive, which has not moved from the compound since the day he dies. Bai says that they should buy it from Mrs. Modi. She wants to go shopping, but a masala machine they will not buy. Jacqueline must keep on doing it till her arms fall out from her shoulder. So we are told about how the class dimension comes in, that like the people who are so wealthy, so rich, that they have cars and everything, they want to buy another car also, but they will not just simply buy one masala machine, a mixer, a grinder, so that it becomes easier for her. And we are told that that the society and that's why the name is here is called Jacqueline, because she says that everyone deliberately mispronounces her name, because obviously we see again a class dimension comes in, that old Bai used to took English words and made them Parsi words. Easy chair was Igcher and French was Ferraj Peen. We'll come to the use of English words and everything. Jacqueline became Jacqueline. Later I found out that all old Parsis did it. It was like that they made their own private language. Then the new Bai called me Jacqueline also. Children do the same. I don't care about it now. If someone asks me, I say Jacqueline, and I talk Parsi, Gujarati all the same time, and with others and everything. So you can see that that there is a certain class angle to it, that deliberately mispronouncing the name, obviously making it their own private language, but then also mispronouncing it. And she tells us that like how ayahs are treated, that no ayah gets a key to the flat, and that's why when she comes back from the midnight mass, she has to sleep outside, and this is in December, not to be because the Bai and the Seth need not to be woken up at 2 a.m. I learned that for 49 years ago that life as a ayah means living close to the floor. All work I do on floors, like grinding masala, cutting vegetables, cleaning rice. Food is also eaten sitting on the floor. After serving them at dining table, my bedding is rolled out at night in the kitchen passage on floor. No cot for me. Nowadays, my weight is much more than it used to be. It is very difficult for me to get up from the floor, but I am managing. So, you can see that there is a lot of exploitation that happens here, and then we are constantly told that she is made fun of because of her skin color. People call her blackie also, the small kids and everyone. So many exploitations happen. So that's why class and gender get intertwined. She's a maid in someone's house, so that's why when she talks about the ghost, and which is true story for her, a real experience, no one believes her. But then the moment the Bai experiences it, everyone in the society starts believing her, and then the Bai also believes her own story, that like, oh yeah, Jacqueline, please tell us about how it happened and what happened and how the ghost was and everything. So we are told about these very different interesting worlds also. One of the things that we looked recently, and we'll just go back to it, that about the Parsi life also. The story revolves around the Parsi life, and then we are told that the Parsis, how they behave and what is their world like, and we she reminds us of Parsi boys, the misogyny of the Parsi boys, and she says that Parsis like light skin. Parsis prefer Mangalorean Catholic because they have light skin. When Parsi baby is born is the first and most important thing. If it is fair to say, oh, how nice light skin, just like parents, but if it is dark skin, they say, are what, this is Aya's Aya no chokro, Aya's child. So you can see certain misogyny, certain kind of stereotyping that is associated with Parsis is also brought out here. The inner life of Parsis in Bombay is also talked about. The ideas about how this marginalized community lives in India, how it tries to, in their own exclusive ways, how they live in India is also mentioned. And then this entire stretch where we are told about what the Parsi boys are doing, adolescent boys, how they are mischievous and misogynistic, what they are doing, all of this we are given an access to. We are also told about the Parsis as belonging to the colonial legacy itself. Let me try to find that section. All this was doing more in olden days among the very rich Bais and Seths. They thought that they were like British only, ruling India side by side. But don't make mistakes, not just rich Parsis, even all Marathi people are now make fun of me when I go to buy grocery from the Bania. So you can see a certain kind of characterization of community, which again tells us of the diversity of Indian English writing as well as the diasporic writing. In Mistry's other works also, he talks about the Parsi way of life. He brings to life a community that is very small in number, but vibrant in terms of its presence in Bombay itself. Another thing that the story brings out, and this is the last bit of the story that we need to focus on, is the use of the language itself. And this is what I mean by chutnification itself. And you will see that happening again and again, because as I told you, English here in Mistry's works inhabits the multilinguality of Bombay, and that's why Jacqueline gives us a glimpse of it. When he was little, I sang Konkani songs for him. A big man now, he's forgotten them, so have I. Forgetting my name, my language, my songs, but complaining I am not. Do not make the mistake. And you can see that, as I said, there is like what? There is Parsi, Gujarati, there is Konkani, there is Marathi, there is English, there is Hindi. We are told that I talk Parsi Gujarati all the time instead of Konkani, even with other ayahs, sometimes also a bit of English. So we know that, and then Mistry brings in those languages into the novel, into the story itself. That how the Parsis, for easy chair, they say Ige chair, French beans were Ferrach beach, and Jacqueline became Jacqueline. And you can see repeatedly references to kaun hai, a Hindi word. You have Parsi Gujarati, you have Hindi, you have Konkani here that we are told about, Moga Chamari and Hanv Saiba, and again repeated references like Aya no Chokro, no, that's Aya's child. So you can see that Mistry mobilizes many of these languages, demonstrates the cosmopolis that they live in, and also we are told about Bombay being that cosmopolitan space, and you can see she talks about how like Tamils and South Indian population that now lives in Bombay, which again gives it a certain kind of cosmopolitan color. And then there are other languages that come into the scene itself. What you also get to see when one reads it is the way that the syntax works. Mistry is very careful that this is from the ayah's point of view, who is probably not that educated. So her English cannot be syntactically exactly like the Queen's English. So therefore, you will see such sentences like forgetting my name, my language, my songs, but complaining I am not, do not make mistake. So you will see a conversational English being broken apart, subverted, and all her the English, the proper English's syntax being undermined here deliberately, so that one sees a kind of a Indian English that comes out, that emerges from this. Mostly she looks okay when she dresses in nice sari for a wedding or something and puts on bangles. She looks really pretty, I must say. But now she looked mean. So you can see mostly she looks okay. It's almost translated from the vernacular. So you will see that also with this, that forgetting this thing. I am telling you to have a job. I was very lucky because in Goa there was nothing to do. From Panjim to Bombay on the bus I cried, leaving behind my brothers, sisters, parents, all my village friends. It should have been, if it was a correct syntax, then like leaving behind, I cried on the bus from Panjim to Bombay, right? So it could have been like that. But just to retain the flavor of it, unashamedly, Rohinton Mistry would use this kind of an syntax. And that is what Rushdie goes on to qualify as chutnification. This unashamed confidence in talking about India's reality, the multiple languages that interact with each other, and way that English is spoken in every day. Akshaya Saxena calls it the vernacularization. In that, if we take a look at what Jacqueline is doing, it could be qualified as vernacularization, as Akshaya Saxena says. So, what we through all the explorations that we see from Mistry and Lahiri, one sees this kind of a past that is being narrativized. The past that seems to be important, past that needs to be archived here. A past of diversity, a past of multicultural world that seems to be the focus of these diasporic writers. Within that, they enact their tensions, small, minor, in terms of what we see in the Ghost of Firozsha Baag, or in the monumental landscape of the war between East Pakistan and West Pakistan in the creation of Bangladesh. So, in that way, one gets to see the diasporic writing taking on many roots and emerging as a complex entity itself. And that comes through, and we have taken shorter samples due to the scope of the course and the time limits and everything. But if you read their longer works also, you will see similar concerns being reflected, and that leads to the concerns about Indian writer, concerns about, let's say, the country, the idea of nation itself, concerns about why past becomes such an important place, and related to that, the idea, the identity of the writer.